Good morning. I am happy to be here. And more so, I'm happy because I've got with me my new co-host sitting in place of the professor, none other than him, Pete Edwards, the legend himself. Good morning, Pete. How you doing? Wait a minute now. So I have to check you. I have to check your West Tampa bona fides. You say you're from West Tampa. My first question for you then, you was going to make sure you're valid and definitely a West Tampa. On what corner was the original Olympia Bakery located? There. All right, you know you're West Tampa then. Okay, then you get the pass. The next week we're gonna ask you about the Guida House in McFarland Park. But that's good enough question right there. So Pete, it's good to have you with us. And a lot of people around town call you Sweet Pete, because you're just such a wonderful personality. You're a great guy. You're so engaging. And tell us a little bit, Pete. Though, how did you get involved with doing so much stuff in the community? Because I've always known everywhere you show up, you're always there. You always got something to say to advise and help people out. But how did you get so involved in what's happening in the community? Yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned a key fact. You said other people saw something. You mentioned other people mentoring, other people doing that. What is your take on the current mentoring process that the more senior people in the community give to the younger people? Do you think it still is working the same way that it used to work? Yeah. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Now you're gonna make the phone start ringing. You call Black Lives Matter fake. Let me inform the people a little bit. If you just turned in, listen, we got in our new co-host, Pete Edwards. He's a Tampa legend in the community. He's been on the scene and involved in everything that's made Tampa a special place for so many years. But we're doing there are a couple of new changes to the show that I want to put out as well. First, if you want to call in, you can still go through the regular radio call in number of 813-444-9588. That's the regular number, and that'll go into the studio. You can also call us through Zoom. And let me give you that call in number. It is 929-205-6099. Again, the call in number 929-205-6099. Now, for you tech savvy people, hang in there tight. Here you go. For you tech savvy people, it's a much simpler process. You text 25324, and in the subject area text, you put in SUTM and hit send. You're going to get a link, and that link will be directly to the show, the phone number. You click on the phone number. Now, when you get there, it may go directly, and if not, you're going to be asked to put in the show's ID. And I'm going to give you that. It should be in your link, but I'm going to give you the show link as well. It is 853-702-0801. 853-702-0801. One more time, the show ID is for Zoom, 853-702-0801. All right, Pete, we're going to have to do an entire show and let you unravel this issue as it relates to Black Lives Matter, because you have a generation that is all they know as it relates to social action or social justice or being involved in what looked like it activity in the street. I'm gonna give you a quick mention of that. When we had the issue last year with the stuff with George Floyd, my son asked me, Dad, are you gonna go down and protest in the streets? I said, no, I'm not going to go do that. I got other avenues that I can impact this. And he was insistent that he and his United Nations group of friends get in somebody's BMW, go downtown, and be a part of what was happening. So that's all they know. And so it's going to be interesting later on. We'll unpack that at some other future point in time. But I wanted to ask you though, Phil, I know you've been around the courthouse and dealing with that whole dynamic of our society. How did you get involved with issues related to people impacted by the law? How did you end up working at probation and things of that nature? About what year? About what year we talking about? What year? We're 67. Okay. Okay. Get out of here. Oh, goodness gracious. First of all, you most people who come up with a real family, everybody's family is diverse and they go through changes and challenges. You done disqualified most people.
But remember, the Justice Department came in, and how they funded those who were interested in that was they funded it through the LEAP money, Law Enforcement Assistance Program, because they didn't have white women either. In fact, the first white female probation officer ever hired also happened to be from Tampa. Her name was Sarah Holland, and she later married the deputy clerk Tony Anello. So that's how I got into that. In fact, believe it or not, they paid you the intern back then. So I stayed home in Tampa and got paid the intern with the Probation and Parole Commission when they were downtown in the George Edgecombe building courthouse.
Where were they held? Uh-huh. Pete, and they can take their own photo with their phone. They take a little selfie and hey, that posted it in. Uh, so listen, I'm getting a message sent to me, DJ Anna, that Pete can't be heard. So can we check on that real quick in studio? Just got a message from someone saying they can't hear Pete uh on yeah. Okay, so that's good. Got got. So let me go back. So you've been around in the Tampa area, and I know that we have a lot of folks that listen all over the country. What are some of the big changes you've seen around the courthouse that probably have happened in other places since you've been working down there? Pete, hold on for just a quick moment. I just got a message sent to me saying that from it looks like it's Daryl saying he wants you to call in on the Zoom ID number. I don't know if that's possible from where you're at, because I know you're in the studio. And you're in studio. So tell DJ Anna that I just sent you the text. She's got it, but have her communicate with DJ CEO, figure out what he's talking about now. Okay, so let's pick up. Let's talk about that jury duty because I'm very interested in that. Go ahead, pick up from there. So you feel that there's a reluctance of our folks to serve on jury duty down the courthouse. Right. Yes. Right. No, absolutely. Now let me hit you with that real quick because I can tell you some of the dynamics that affect running for judge. If you work at a private law firm and you indicate that you want to run for judge, you're almost ending your career, Pete. Right. And here's why. First, the partners at your law firm were going to think, wait a minute, well, you're not committed to us for the long term. That's the first problem. So they're going to deal with the difference. So if you're at a firm, any firm of significance, and you're not a partner yet, you're an associate, then that's what's going to happen. Okay. And I see Pete. We got Sweet Pete's face on the Zoom now, so everybody can see all y'all complain about being able to see Sweet Pete. So that's your first issue. So if you're an associate of some sort at a firm, and you indicate you want to run for judge, well, your law firm now stops promoting and investing in you, because well, you don't want to be. You want to go be a judge, so go be a judge. The second problem is if you're in private practice and you indicate you want to be a judge, your clients get wind of that. And once you do that, your client said, well, I mean, he's not going to be around if he gets to be a judge for my case. Let me go someplace else. So you kind of, so, and then the third one is by the time neither one of those two things can influence your practice in private practice. You're so far along in your career, you're so well established, being a judge is a step backwards for you. It restricts what you can do. By then you're influential, you can impact so many other things, you got so much going on, it doesn't have the attractiveness that you would think it would. So now you're stuck with kind of going after, I call them mid-level government lawyers. Because if I work for the government and I try to become a judge, the impact is null and void, really, because what are they going to do with me down at the county or the city, or if the probation, but public defender or state attorney's office. So it really is a catch-22 of, if you're in the private sector and you're in a well-established practice, it doesn't have the prestige and that you would think it would be. But there's still some folks out there, and I'm hoping that they push for it. All right. So, all right, Pete, I done got to let you get away, letting all the people be impressed with your credentials and knowledge and all that kind of stuff. I got to ask you some questions, though, about some stuff happening on the political front, particularly with our Republican brethren and friends, some stuff that's going on. I have a issue, and I'm concerned about this on the Republican side, and that is regarding traditional Republican values of fiscal responsibility, of family values. Some of the things that I thought held true that really balanced off against the Democrats kind of went out the window during the Trump era. Where is the Republican Party right now on reasserting its traditional Republican values? Now, is it Pete though? But is that just the vocal part of the party? Aren't there a lot of Republicans just kind of just gristling and kind of grinding their teeth at some of what they're saying? but the majority of the Republican Party is still tied to its traditional values of family, God, religion, law enforcement, and fiscal responsibility. Isn't that still the cornerstone? Listen, I'm gonna give you an old mayor story once, because when he ran the first time, he didn't win, and way before he won, and I remember getting the phone call, and the phone call kind of was one of those. I want to remind you, I will remember the people that are with me, but more importantly, I'm going to remember the people that were not with me. Call, and I thought it was quite interesting. I'm like, hey, listen, you won, you ran, you lost. You get what happened when you lose, you know. But close the door like that. So I understand that piece of it. But I'm just trying to figure. I'm trying to think. Well, what could possibly bring folks together? We got about a minute here, Pete. If the right person came along and put those traditional values in front of the mainstream Republicans, wouldn't that be the thing to unify them? Uh, you bring up a great point. I was involved with the Hillsborough County Bar's Leadership Institute when it first launched, and we had old Governor Bob Martinez come in as one of our kind of a program participant, kind of talk to us about leadership and stuff. And he talked about how he learned leadership as an elementary school teacher. He was a school teacher. He learned really about leadership in that vein. But one of the things he said we had to appreciate as current leaders is that people are only with you for a short period of time. It's a very short window for you to make progress on your issue, or your people will move on to the next issue. And just like people move on to the next issue, Pete, we're going to have to move on to the next issue. We're going to take a quick break, everybody who's listening in. We're getting to know my new co-host here, Sweet Pete Edwards here in Tampa, going to be helping us out with the show straight up the middle. So we're going to take a quick break. On the backside, we come back. We want to talk a little bit about vaccine resistance. Who's not getting the vaccine, and how do we get them to get the vaccine? And also some of this foreign policy stuff that Biden seems to be doing. Came off tough on China and Russia in one day. I mean, just throwing haymakers all over the place on the international scene. So we want to talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break. This is In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
My show that will be all up in your business. Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cuso. Every Wednesday at 12:31 p.m. My business experts provide insight for business entities and entrepreneurs. So join us every Wednesday from 12:31 p.m. to 1:31 p.m. at www.intouchnews.com. Catch my show.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
All right, we're back live on Texas News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. My name is Clinton Paris, and I'm here with my new co-host, Sweet Pete Edwards, who are joining us from the studio. Pete, you're looking good behind that microphone. I'm and bring my butt back in there. I think if it continues like it is, but a little bit too much technology. Let me check something. Hello, Anna, can you hear me? Okay, got it. All right, that's okay. Okay, good. So, all right, so we're back live on New Texas News Radio with Sweet Pete Edwards. Sweet, you're looking good behind that microphone. I mean, if I didn't know better, you look like a professional, like you've been behind the mic before, the way you're sitting there and really throwing these brushback pictures at me. You're looking good. So, a couple things I want to talk about real briefly, if we could. We only got another 25 minutes or so. Pete, is I see this vaccine that's been rolled out as just a change, uh, just a way that the world can get to a new place. What are your thoughts about the vaccine and its role? Right. Don't you think though? Here's one of my thoughts on that line. Particularly as it relates to the Black community, and this governor's I think mirroring some of the stuff that Trump did and how he pandered or just made it clear, didn't even behind his hand as the way he was going after, just making sure that affluent white communities were tended to better and more, because we know where Publix are located. I mean, you ride through the Tampa. I think the only Publix you really see is really downtown, and then maybe you go out South Tampa and you get one, but you don't see a Publix over in West Tampa. You don't have a Publix in East Tampa, and some of the other more historic black communities in Tampa. So the messaging is clear what he was doing, but isn't that bad business for him as a governor, considering that re-election on the national level and on the state level hinges on the Black vote still, that the day of reckoning will come? But okay, well, hold on for a minute, Pete. Though this guy, what the guy that got caught up in the scandal, the black guy from Tallahassee, Gillum, he came really close. You know, that was maybe just another round of commercials from that vote. I mean, it was a close election, mainly dependent upon the turnout of black voters. So yeah. But let me say that. So my thought is that is an influential component, and so if DeSantis thinks that if he pisses black people off enough with some of this pandering, not necessarily some of this real legislation, but the pandering, that he could run the risk of a Nikki Fried or another moderate Democrat emerging, you know, or Charlie Crist or somebody coming back and giving him a real run for it. So is it feasible that he cannot really address the black community with this virus and not think it's going to come back to bite him? Absolutely, absolutely good. Yeah. Well, I think that's too risky. But let me ask you then also on the resistance. It seems like to me Donald Trump sabotaged a large part of the Republican side of his supporters embracing the vaccine. One, he didn't promote it. Then he got his vaccine in secret. He gave a lukewarm kind of endorsement. And what I was listening to a show yesterday, and they said, well, about 50% of Republicans are not, going to get the vaccine. And without them, we can't reach the herd immunity number. What's the holdup on the Republican side with getting the vaccine? Your fears, the things you're afraid of, and all of that. Wow. That's old school. That's old school there. That's an old school business. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna let you have that one there, and I'll let the people contact you with it and let you explain. Right. Hmm. Right. Now, because I thought something, and I didn't get to participate. I have not, been able to talk to somebody about it. Was the NAACP had a little conversation the other night about using the N word, and that was because we had an incident with a young man and a police officer, and some of that kind of stuff going on. But you're right. We need to listen to the young folks more. I'm just surprised on this vaccine thing that so many Republicans are hardcore against it and so risky. But you know what? I mean, it's one of those things that I think ultimately I think people may come to regret. Now, I know we get short on time, so I want to slide to my last two things that have been burning me to get your comments about is what's happening with our voting laws across the state. I think they said 40 plus legislatures are enacting all kinds of various laws that from their position is it deals with election security, voting security. The ironic part, of course, is these are all Republican-led legislatures that are enacting these. Aren't these just the old-fashioned things done back in the 50s and 60s to prevent more Black people from voting? Or this is this really about voting security? You, I would agree with that, but that comes from a number of things. Of course, her rise. It was a slow rise, but she had an influx of folks coming in the community who were not already anchored into their. And that last word I can use words is a defeatist mindset. You have so many new people moving into that Atlanta, central North Georgia part of the state, and trickling down towards Macon and maybe a little bit to the center part of the state that they're not defeated, so to speak. They hadn't lost already. They believe that we got a chance to change things. So you need an influx of, I think, new, open-minded people willing and ready to attach themselves to the opportunity to take charge. If you don't have that, you know, Yeah, and then the other one I would say is you need motivation. I hate this. In Florida, you have too many people doing okay. You just have too many people doing okay, and no longer do you have that group of people who are not doing well at all, yelling and screaming, "Hey, somebody need to do something about this." Because Florida's still a place of a lot of opportunity if you want to put your nose down and go to work at it. So you don't have those two motivators, I think. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, you got to unravel that. That went right over my head. I think a lot of listeners. Okay, go ahead. Well, let me push back on that about the local vote. You did get an African American at City Council in Orlando Goods. Uh, and then also, if you go to school board, you had Shake Washington elected. So you do have two black men that actually won elections, running in tough competitive races. So I think there's a role there, black men. But I'm also one to say that you kind of I was from a big family. You gotta claim your seat at the table. Expecting somebody to let you in, and we got some strong women in Florida that have taken the reins, and I guess that was what Abrams has done. But the big one. All right. So you already got me in trouble with some of my lists. I'm gonna get myself in trouble with the rest of them. I'm not aware of the having the numbers in the gay community. And I think in our community, you have so many people still flying below the radar. I assume. I don't know, but I don't know that that's the in my mind the group that's gonna swing it. I think it's a need base. If people feel threatened, if people feel like they're being left out. And in our community, I think you don't have that. So Florida has a different component to it than I think some other areas where you have a more concentration of African American. Florida, you think about it, most cities you don't have a majority black population almost in any of the cities. So it's well under 30%, no matter what city you go to. you got more Hispanics in some of these cities that can come together, and that may be the way that we get to the next level of being able to influence what happens. Man, Pete, look, we're already out of time. I'm down to what I just got a message from DJ Anderson. We got 5 minutes left. Um, the, the other thing I wanted to talk about some of this stuff with Biden and his foreign policy. I'm not going to get to that. Let me let you say a little. What is on your mind? Do you think people need to be thinking about next week as they go to work in the school to play? What could be some of the things you want to make people aware of as they go about their days next week on the political scene, Pete? All right, so yeah, I hear you. And I think you're dead on point. One initiative launched on this line is what we're doing over at Toba with our new Leadership Institute. And as we learn how we develop and grow people, I think that's going to expand. It's going to be a model for a lot of folks to use in different aspects of our community and to train and develop and grow leaders like you see down at the Chamber of Commerce and within the bar associations and some of those things, though. Well, Pete, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining in with us this morning. Welcome to the show. I got so many questions I want to ask you. And now, guess what? I get to do it. So just be ready for me to just give you question after question as we get to let you introduce yourself to our community and to our listeners. I want to thank you this morning for joining in, Pete. This has been Straight Up the Middle on In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll see everybody back again next week. Everybody, y'all be safe and enjoy your weekend. Take care, Pete. Oh.